Hey, welcome back. It's so much great. How's everyone doing? I need to check my microphone. Yeah, my microphone's good. How's everyone doing? It is currently the 2nd of August. My face is kind of blue and purple. I'm not fixing the color correction. It's a short stream today. Welcome to the pre-show for the America's Continentals. We've had a lot of Netrunner yesterday. If you don't know about it, it's been Continental season this whole month. The top 16 of the America's Continentals is going to commence in about 40 minutes. So we just have a little pre-show here so we can kind of drum up some hype. And so we can go through the deck list, talk about what happened yesterday, what we think is going to happen today, and then we will raid the channel at noon once it goes on, and we'll be I'm pretty excited. Hopefully it's going good. Ignore the fact that I'm basically purple, but everything else should be nice. I'm also kind of losing my voice. It's been obviously like 9-10 hours of commentary yesterday. So I got tea, but hopefully we're going to hold on. We'll see how it goes. Yo, Solom, how's it going? Baza, how's it going? It's going really good otherwise. All things considered, it's fantastic. Cody, congrats. I'm so excited. Couldn't sleep. Woke up at 5:30 a.m. Yo, you need your sleep. Solom, are you? Yeah, that is Cody. Good luck today. So, if you don't know, it's the Continentals. This is the final Continentals. We had Asia Pacific, which we did a pre-show for. We have European, which was last weekend, the Euro Africas, excuse me. And then we have the Americas Continentals. It's not American Continentals. I guess that's the same thing, right? So yesterday it was the biggest Continentals. It was 130 some odd players, 133 to 135, somewhere around there, and it was a 7 rounds of Swiss competition, and it culminates to a top 16 today. If you want to watch that and have no spoilers going forward, you shouldn't watch this video, let alone obviously you shouldn't watch the finals. I'm gonna give you like 3 seconds to leave, and then we'll look at the top cut. We basically have like half an hour here. I want to go through the deck list, talk about what we saw yesterday, talk about what we're expecting today. But largely the big thing is today we actually got the deck lists, which is something for the top cut. It's open information. So deck lists have to be publicly published so your opponent can see your deck list. And that actually has a really big impact on the games that you play. Specifically also we have like a personal evolution deck, which might be Mushin no Shinning. So sometimes knowing what options are for traps or understanding how decks you might not understand how work is a really big deal, especially when you see like punitive HB decks, and now there's no surprises. So we'll see if they can do as well in the Swiss as they can in the finals when people are fully prepared with information. Grim, yo, what up? Approximately 300 players over 3 Continentals. Exactly, it was 299. Really not bad at all for an online tournament. On top of that, it's like a really tall ask from an online tournament. Like, you have to play for the whole day of Saturday, and on the Eastern time zone, it's a lot. Like, it's definitely a lot. You start at noon, you finish at like 11 at night, and it's a bit different when it's an ask when it's an in-person tournament. Like if you go to Continentals or Worlds, because you're hanging out with other people, your downtime between rounds is a bit interesting. But the fact that so many people played online, which sure, maybe you're at home and you're comfortable, that's super rad. But it's definitely a lot in Netrunner, and you can tell my voice is gone too. Yo, Lilin, what's up? Any surprise Boom Asa? I don't think it was Boom Asa. I think if anything we saw was punitive Asa or punitive Mirror Morph more than Boom. But I might be wrong. We're about to find out. So y'all want to dive into these lists? Cody is scouting, but Cody has the deck list. Cody will be fine. This was a distribution. Let me move my silly face. This is the distribution going into the tournament. Oh, there's a Boom Asa. Sid, yo, congrats by the way. And a punitive. Okay, super cool. Lilin, there actually is a Boom Asa. On the flip side, some of us wouldn't be able to afford it IRL. I know I wouldn't. Yeah, no, that's totally true. Accessibility is like very high here. Like way higher than normal. That kind of helps, I guess. Ilk, what's up? So hyped. Didn't get a watch yesterday and haven't been able to watch the VODs yet, so I'm very excited. Let me tell you, and I've been saying this so many times, I feel like a broken record. Almost all the games that have been on stream in the last 3 weeks have been bangers. Obviously some have been better bangers than others, but there's never been a matchup where the commentary at least hasn't been exciting. It's been really good. There's a lot of stuff to watch. It really is. So this is a distribution. I think if you asked somebody a month ago what they thought the highest runner would be, the most popular runner, they would see 419. But we saw that like that's what it was in APAC, and then you saw people transitioning over to Leela, they finding it an ability that impacts more. There's also was a lot of Titan Transnational in APAC, a lot of more fast event stuff, and that's kind of waned as time has gone on. People are teching for it in some ways, but it's really interesting how this started at the top and now it's kind of, you know, fourth place is still a lot, but it's by no means the prominent, and especially in the top cut. I don't even think there is a 419. Maybe there's one. Yeah, there's probably one. So bummed APOC Kid didn't make it. Wait, APOC Kid didn't make it? Oh shit. There's probably other APOC shapers that we're gonna see, Lilin. I'm pretty sure. I think Kenny might be on one. We have to check the list. But this distribution is actually very, very well distributed. Obviously, Leela is by far the most popular by like a pretty significant margin. There was calls made that Americas really cares about what people call reg ass, unfortunately, Anarch, which is just Anarch with no real big tricks, just regular good stuff. Anarch economy, Anarch breakers, Anarch multi-axis, good stuff. Anarch draw now with 0, and that has actually proven to be the case. I think out of the top cut, like the majority is regular Anarch, and that's fascinating considering Anarch was pretty underrepresented, not as underrepresented as Shaper, but underrepresented in all the other Continentals, and it takes America for that to Americas for that to like jump out and shine. Same thing goes with controlling the message, something that's classically associated with America's play. Hasn't been performing or even being that represented in the other tournaments, even though obviously CTM has been a strong deck forever. It's cool that we see it here. On top of that, I think Geist and Asa Group down here at 9 and 8 were the most represented competitive deck. I think the biggest archetype that you saw in Euro Africas, and it is less strong here, but you're definitely seeing people play the same exact lists, and those are doing pretty well. Regas, unfortunately, Anna. Yo, Austin, how's it going? Glad to have you on comms yesterday, huh? More Adam than Val is really weird to me. Yeah, people like Adam. Val has kind of fallen off, right? Like, Val is not that flashy compared to Hoshiko. I think a lot of people valued Hoshiko as card draw in Anarch on a regular shell more than Val. Also, 50 card deck might matter. But now with 0 coming back, I think Val is a bit easier to play than she used to be. And we do see a Val in the cut. Actually, the top seed right now is a Val. It's going. Ready for another day for Netrunner. Heck yeah. Yo, Frank, how's it going? All right, have fun stream. I'm out. Yo, Stop, what's up? Say that there's an inside top at Hoshiko in the top cut. Ooh, okay, cool. Really gonna check that out. We're gonna go through all the lists now. We have about half an hour, so we'll run through it. Also, way overrepresented in the cut, I think. Powerful effing deck. Yeah, totally. It really is. And the interesting thing is, like, we're actually seeing different Asa archetypes than in then specifically in Euros, where you only saw one large one, or maybe two if you saw like combo Asa, but a lot of times you saw that in Sports Metal too. But we're actually seeing a couple Asas. We see like Rikoko Asa, Reconstruction Contract Dedication Ceremony Asa. We're seeing like the deck list of the week, Chris Ferg's winning Asa list. There might be some more combo fast events Asa lists that aren't Rikoko. It's interesting. Now, Asa's ability is very strong. It's like Haley, right? Like a free double install with conditions attached to it. But it's a lot more flexible, I think, than Haley. And the fact that HB went from like pretty low represented to actually like having some of the strongest identities or strongest factions is a big deal. The fact that all of HB is cropped up basically on 2 identities, and we do see a mirror morph. I think there might be a mirror morph in the top cut. Maybe I'm mistaken. I think that's kind of like an issue with HB. There's just not a lot of HB identities. I think it's the one faction with the fewest identities, just because creation and control rotated. Also looks impressive because out of the 9 Asas, 5 made it to top 16. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good stat to talk about. Asa is strong. And Asa's also like has a high skill cap to play, which is exciting. Like there's a lot of forking paths within Asa of what you can do at any place, just because they can build out naked remotes, they can build new remotes, they need their cards are modular when it comes to, or modular when it comes to red level clearance, and to some extent also fully operational. It's really exciting to watch because you can see the player play it more than some other decks where it's just like game net, where it's like, oh, I'll just glacier up, click for credits, you know. And those game nets are doing well. Chief Asa, Grim, no, unfortunately not, but you probably could. Yo, Green, what's up? Boom, HHN Asa, Punitive Asa. Yeah, it's all in there. Insert favorite card Asa here. That's kind of Asa, right? Spray, loving the commentary. Cheers. Glad you are. I was actually super impressed. Everyone that I've been sharing the mic with, there's a lot of shout outs like, oh, I'm gonna miss people, so it's gonna be a bummer. Ice Cold Jazz is in chat. We commentated with them. It's been with Patrick Burke all day, who's been fantastic. Neuropanther, Mar, oh, Beans, I'm gonna forget people. I shouldn't have started listing. Shit. Point being is what I was trying to highlight specifically is at the end of the day, the last round, we had 4 people on mic and it wasn't brutally crowded, which I thought was really cool. Like, it was actually very comfortable. People were, I'm anxious about myself because I talk a lot and I talk quickly. So I know that I probably will talk over people, especially people who might not be as confident on the mic. But we got to 4 people at the end and it was actually like really fun. And I'm super surprised by that. Real asses for the most sophisticated. Yo, Sid, congrats. I know I said that already. I'm excited to see your play. Represent Canada. Baza says Mirror Morph is decent, but it's so mentally taxing to play. 7 rounds in one day would kill most people. Yeah, it's a lot of work for sure. Franks is going good. You commented an entire day yesterday. It must have been a record for you. I don't even know if it is a record, but it was definitely, I wouldn't say a long day because it didn't feel long, but factually, yes, a long day. Hey, Mars, amazing sharing the mic with you. Great. I guess we're doing that a couple rounds at the beginning too. It's been great. Cheers. I don't know if you feel the same way, Mar, but like when we were commentating at the end of the last day, we had like 4 people on comms and it wasn't a salad. Like sometimes we've had 3 people on comms and everyone's talking over each other. It was really nice. PE seems to be hurting nowadays. Yo, Timmy, what's up? Yeah, we're going to go see what that list looks like. Let's dive into the lists. Frank says is also stronger than Mirror Morph, more versatile. Yes, much more versatile. Mirror Morph has access to some cool tricks. A lot of it is actually tied up exclusively into MC austerity policy, which is a heck of a card for sure. But the fact is that they don't, like, they have to work for their value. Asa can just shit out value. Like, Asa literally can do anything and it's valuable. Very polite, that's true. All right, let's dive into the list. So we have 16 lists. Again, this is public information, so these lists are published. So this is not like scoops that we have to hide them. And again, it's a really big difference when you're going into the cut, when you know your opponent's deck list. I think that's going to matter a lot if there's anybody on HB meat damage, because that does come as a surprise in a lot of Swiss cuts. We're going to see some trap decks. I'm pretty sure we have Personal Evolution in here. We did not see that on stream, so we got to see what that looks like. And I don't know what there's other things. I don't think we saw the one shaper that's in here. I think that's Simon Moon's. That's Kenny's shaper list. And we'll see what else other people are on. I think it's gonna be cool. We have half an hour. Let's go through it. It might be a bit quick. 16 is a bit more than 8. Let's do it. All right, NetDad. So NetDad, we actually saw very few games because they were by far the strongest seed and they didn't have to play all their games. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in. Oh no, I can't. Hold on. Enhance. Oh, too much. Enhance. Okay, so the Val deck looks like nothing too special. There is a Spicy Wanton Destruction, which is nice. There is a single Apocalypse, which is pretty interesting. 2 Labor Rights, and otherwise just some good stuff that you'd expect in Anarch. Nothing too flashy, he says, just saying the Apocalypse is in there for fun, but that's a really cool card. Apocalypse to deal with some acid matchups is really big. I guess if you can blow a Glacier, but at the end of the day, it looks like they're not going 100% Apocalypse, but they still have that option out. I'm a very big fan of that. That's super cool. We'll see if NetDad does pull that off. And more importantly, if your opponent knows you're on a single Apocalypse in a 50 card deck, do they play around it? It's really interesting to see. And these game net lists, this one is a bit different than the deck list of the week right now. Oh, this is formatted really horribly. How is this formatted? It's not even alphabetical. It's just salad. It's probably somebody going through their deck list and writing the cards down one by one, right? It's Glacier. We've seen a lot of really slow game net Glacier decks, and this one might not be the slowest one, but the problem we're seeing with game net as of the Swiss yesterday is that a lot of the games were going to time or going close to time. We saw, for instance, in the NetDad matchup, NetDad won a Val game in about 7 minutes or whatever, and then their next game took 56. Now, the thing is, in a double elimination, these rounds are 45 minutes long, so that might not be a possibility. So we need to see how fast these game net decks can roll, or more importantly, how faster the opponent can, the player can play them, which is pretty interesting. In terms of the list itself, it's a bit hard to look over this with the formatting. There are, yo, what's up? Bifurcator, you're totally right. There's some interesting one-ofs in the list. An interesting one-of border control is cool. This list is on, I believe, 3 Bologna, 3 SSL endorsement, and that generally means there's one more agenda slot. This deck is going for Beal. We actually saw that be really weird where the Beal came out early, which made the opponent think that they were not on a 3-pointer agenda suite maybe, but a lot of the other players will just play another 3-pointer in here. I like the Beal, especially in a world with so much Leela. The fact that you can just never advance it and they don't know whether it's the Echo Chamber or something else is a really big deal. In fact, I don't even think this list has Echo Chamber, right? Yeah, this list doesn't even have Echo Chamber. Whoa, that's pretty flashy. is a single NGO front, 2 Ash. That's something that we haven't seen in all of the lists from GameNet. GameNet has 17 influence, 6 of it is going to Jinja City Grid. We got the Ashes, which do work relatively well. They do fire the GameNet ability. We got an Afshar, which is actually a really nice ice. You do have 2 Embolus, and Embolus has been doing a lot of work. A lot of these GameNet decks will like ice up everything and then wait to the mid to late game where they can get an Embolus up where it's not affordable for the runner to keep it down, and then they can totally lock out at least one server. It's pretty good stuff. GameNet games are usually a bit boring, I have to say, but it's good to see variety in corp strategies, I guess. I see why you could think that, yeah. It's definitely a slower game, and there's more like clicking for credits and caring about economy than flashy accesses, just because interacting with GameNet gives them money, so people are a bit more apprehensive about that. But yeah, I could see why people could consider it boring. I think it's refreshing to see, but we'll get tired of it over time for sure. Austin says, I think it's just a copy paste from the decklist submission form, so blame the player. Yeah, no, I totally get it. It looks like they just went through a list and pasted it through. All right, we got to go a bit faster through here. We only have 20 minutes and we have 15 more decks, so we'll try and reduce this. Freedom's really cool because we're seeing a lot of Freedom decks that aren't too virus heavy. We saw this in Eric Whiteblade, who won the APAC tournament, the Continentals, that they were playing the same list. And I'm not sure. I think Analyze Chris might be New York and might be in the same testing group. But this is a very similar list to this. It's nothing too flashy, but you notice they're not like running Knobkari. They're not even running Pelongi. They're running very few viruses, and they're just running that reg ass, as we call it, Anarch Shell. And on top of that, they have Freedom's ability, which is very valuable in this meta, not only to contest assets really cheaply in controlling the message, or Asa, where they have a lot of low res cost but high trash cost cards. It's also very good against a Wayland field where you can contest things like economic warfare, high profile target, hard hitting news, all that stuff that stays in hand. It's really cool. It's basically a regular Anarch, but instead of Hoshiko or Val or Max or whatever, you're just playing the aggression of Freedom. It's also a deck that has very little multi-access. It's one of the few Anarchs you're going to see in the top cut that doesn't run Stargate, just because MU is really hard with things like Data Sucker and Yusuf, but instead they're running on Freedom's ability and Turning Wheels. It's a Turning Wheel and Turntable. It's a really cool list to see. It's pretty fun. Jogging, what up? Glacier's Core Netrunner, the random chat hate is troubling. No. Yeah, I hear you, but it's a change of pace for sure. This is a Titan list. It's not too spicy. It's like all the Titan lists we've seen before. Like, again, like Eric was playing back in APAC, if you're familiar with that. How many biotics? 2 biotics is a big deal. The one flashy card in here is Arc Lockdown, which I think took one of the red level clearances influence, maybe. But that Arc Lockdown can be a really big deal. We'll see if that works out. Skeleton, what up? Glacier better than Acid Spam any day? Yeah, okay. Do they get to change their ID and deck list when they go to Intercontinentals? I believe so, Spray. I think so. All right, Sokka. This is huge. Sokka is the reigning Canadian national champion, playing from Alberta or Manitoba, somewhere in the prairies. Correct me if you know. This is Will, a really nice dude. Leela list is similar to the stuff that we've seen, nothing too spicy to the list that we've seen back at APAC on the double Anacom for 6 influence. So you have 2 Embezzle, which is pretty fun, 2 Inside Job, 3 Boomerang, so a lot of pressure. Political Operative as a tech card has been doing its weight in work this whole tournament for sure, and it's not on Angolo. I think anytime you see double Anacom or a single Anacom, you can assume there's no Angolo, so we're on Bagalter, Amina, Paperclip, 2 of all the breakers besides the Paperclip, and Paperclip has generally been the sweet Arc Lockdown target. But again, now that deck lists are public, it's not like you're gonna get Arc Lockdown in HB if you know what to play against. So that's really, really cool. On the other side of the outfit, it is one of them outfit decks that you've seen time and time again. I think the distribution is a bit different than what you might have seen last weekend. This list has Data Ravens, which is pretty taxing. Hunting Grounds does not appear in every list like it used to back in the 419 days. You got the Punitive Counter-Strike option. You have the Dedication into City Works Project option, which is pretty good against Leela. She can't bounce it. A single Archive Memories, so that's the influence off of the Data Ravens, I have no doubt. And you do have 3 reversed accounts, which is a bit more than you see in a lot of these lists. 2 high profile target, no boom. So the hard hitting news is actually a bit more interesting, where if you can clear 2 of your tags, you might actually not die. And again, the opponent's going to know this list, so 2 tags is a bit safer than it looks because there is no boom as long as you have more cards in your hand. Is it on the mod? All right, what are we looking at? This is the interesting stuff. So Omar and PE, we did not see Omar at all or any of these lists. Looking at the Omar list, Omar has a limited amount of influence. It's only 12. Omar's ability is really good. We're going to see Omar on the competitive tables mostly as Rebirth. Starting as Omar, I would guess like a lot of the times means Apocalypse, but the big thing here is Find the Truth, which I forget what the ruling is. Does anybody remember what the ruling is? But I know we played this incorrectly at Canadian Nationals. With Omar, do you have to decide which server you're going to Omar to before you see the top card of R&D or after? That's actually a really important ruling, because the idea is Omar can run archives, choose to run R&D, see the top of R&D. Paulie, yo, what's up? You say you can't FTT before you decide the server, so you have to do it after you decide the server. So then you run R&D and then you see the top of R&D. It's a really big ruling that we have to make sure that we understand what that is, because that's huge. So that's going to be pretty good pressure on Centrals. Archives has to be iced up. RNG key combos in with the Find the Truth. There is 2 hunting grounds, which is pretty fascinating. Thank you for these dots. You got the Zero Maw Hippo. Maw is actually interesting. That's very expensive, and it is kind of the tech they have against asset lists to be able to fight down what's it called? To fight down yeah, assets. Here, just give me 1 second. I just need to check something. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so what else he has? He has Ivanware's Career Fair, Dirty Laundry, StimHack, Gamble. Good stuff otherwise, but 12 influence is stretched pretty thin on to Find the Truth. You need to find that to get that pressure up. I guess you could RNG keep blankly, and Rizeki's pretty good. So on the mod, on PE. So this is interesting because this is not a Mushin no Shin list. This is something a bit more interesting. We got House of Knives, Obokata, Sting, Future Perfect. So that's kind of that's kind of the list, the agenda suite that you would see in a more Mushin no Shin shell game trap heavy deck. We got the snares. We don't have Psychic Field, and that's a big deal. That means snare is the only unadvanceable trap you have to worry about aside of the agendas. Rashida, NGO front, good stuff. But with 14 ice and with border controls and data loops, it looks like this would be a punitive list, but it looks like data loop on its own is going to be enough to protect Obokata protocols. Data loop, mind you, is an on-encounter ability that forces you to put 2 cards on top of your deck. Engram Flush also, Envelope, IP block, some barriers, DNA Tracker, Anansi, but there's actually some pretty taxing expensive ice. I'm talking about expensive ice, hedge fund, IPO, celebrity gift, attitude adjustment to deal with flood, 2 Cyberdex Virus Suite, we're seeing that a lot, and a single Hokusai. This is actually really fascinating. This is it's like a mix of a mid-range Glacier PE deck. It doesn't have hard defenses besides just cards in hand. Once they steal things, the only threats are Neural EMP. There's not even like fast advance Philotic Entanglement or fast advance Sting. There's in fact no fast advance in this deck. This is not a deck I would have expected. It's obviously been doing really well, but especially with full information, these sort of decks I think get a bit more interesting to play. And the big chance is to see whether Aunt the Mod, whether he can play with that information in mind, where you can fork the opponent if they know what you could possibly have. It's wild, but the fact there's no punitive, no complete image, though interactions on the runner's turn is just Neural EMP or setting up situations where it's a no-win situation with data loops. But again, all that stuff is pretty expensive. Sid, Severin from Toronto. What are we looking at here? Hoshiko. We saw a couple good stuff. Hoshiko's, Amakua, Data Sucker, Single Hunting Grounds, Bravado, 3 of, that's like 9 influence. That's just good. That means there's no Apocalypse for sure. We got 2 Imp. Imp is pretty hot without even any sort of support like Simulchip or Nobkiri. It's a really good. It works as the modern film critic equivalent. We're on Paladin Puemo, 3 of. That's way more than I thought we'd see. 3 Gachapon is good acceleration, and that means we're, again, because we're on all the virtuals, we can easily play Adore, which is a bit rougher when it comes to destruction damage, and not that this list is on 0, which is also pretty impressive, but Adore is technically cheaper against some of the bigger stuff. Multi-access, we got 2 Stargate, 2 Turning Wheels, so definitely regular type Anarch, but a different shift in the economy where we're on the Companions, we're on Adore, and Gachapon to set that up, and Imp, so it's definitely cool. This is Asa Group. What is this? What is this? Ooh, okay. So this is an Asa group. It is having a lot bigger ice and a lot of scary things. Ooh, is this the deck I've played against? So Sid has been playing in tournaments. We've been doing, what's it called? Like GNKs, and Sid's been playing in them and is playing this Asa group that I just consistently lose against. I've found it to be a very competitive list. I think that list was also running that Wayland meat damage asset. Yeah, Sitsing is a little different now. So that version originally was playing Wayland Meat Damage Asset, Urban Renewal, and that's not the case here. But this one is definitely a lot different than all the asset group decks I think we'll see today. And the big thing here that I've actually played against this is they need to establish an early daily quest like some of the other Asa lists to get money. And at that point, they have acceleration and all the efficiency of Asa with Cybernetics Court with fully operational. But on top of that, they actually have real teeth. They have Punitive Counterstrike, which again, once that's a known quantity, is going to change the meta. They have, or change how people play, excuse me. They have Vacheron, so they can't lose too quickly, I suppose. But the biggest deal is they can set up some pretty brutal remotes with cards like Tier and then Helheim Servers, which ensures that a Tier is at a strength that's really hard to deal with. Now, in terms of like dealing with really big ice, it's very difficult right now. Without David, people aren't playing Femme Fatale. The only options are like basically Geist stuff and Boomerang. I hope I'm not missing anything. Palangi Paperclip is sometimes your best, but you're still going to pay a lot of money. So there's some real teeth to this if it can get set up. The fact that you have like some really big ice and then some of your economy is tied into like 2-3 turns of payoff means that there's a chance Sid could draw just terribly here. But I feel like Asa has a lot of good ways to kind of fix that, like Violet level clearance, whatever. You'll figure it out. Hopefully you draw something. Tier's unique still works as a trap. Yeah, you're not going to res 2 tier, but it just ensures that you have it. And again, you have Helheim Servers. Even Helheim Servers and throwing out cards into Gatekeeper is kind of neat, right? You can throw out 3 agendas to make the Gatekeeper stronger so it ends the run, and the other Cybertine fires so you can get those agendas back into your deck. There's some neat stuff for sure. Well, you can still click that tier through. Yo, Cocottes, how's it going? You definitely can. Greyfield, I don't think we saw a lot of Greyfield on, oh wow, yeah, we didn't see any Greyfield yesterday, and they are on some spicy brews here. So it's a Hoshiko, but here's on Insight Top Hat. You might need to look up what that is, but Top Hat is a zero cost hardware that says when you run R&D, you choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you access that number card down the R&D. So you can see the 5th card, the 4th card. And the big combo here is Insight. I think it is a double. I'm pretty sure it's a priority too. Maybe only one of those is right. And it lets the corpse show the top 5 or 6 cards or whatever, and they have to rearrange them and then show you the order and put them back. So the idea is that you can Insight and then you can just Top Hat in because you know where the agenda is. That's a really big deal. I would assume this sort of deck archetype got a fair bit worse on the basis that that there's no more what's it called, Mad Dash doesn't exist anymore, right? And there's no more freedom through equality. Yo, what up, Jack? Yeah, 10 minutes. We got to go fast. So I think that's a big deal, but we got to watch out for that. If they can also destroy all the ice on central servers on R&D, Top Hat kind of works like a really slow medium, which is cool. This is a game net deck. It's running Surveyor. It's not running the spicy upgrades we've seen. It does have hard-hitting news. This is the only game net we've seen with legitimate tag punishment. And Surveyor means, again, slow, big play, 3 border control. That's a big old glacier. Arundel playing from Italy, if I'm not mistaken. Hoshiko, 3 Apocalypse. I don't think there's anything much to say there. If you've seen an Apocalypse list, you know how they work. Single Rebirth, Deuces, Career Fair, good stuff. Wanton also has pressure. It's scary. It's hard to deal with for sure. And this is the first CTM we're seeing. Double Bologna on the BO Remastered Edition. So it's sort of the tempo plays that we've seen. I think we played one of these on the channel a bit ago. The idea is that you have Jeeves, Amani Sanai team sponsorship, no calibration testing. Oh, 2 calibration testing, a single MVT. Now the single MVT is a really big deal. It means on turn 1, there's not too many rough checks when you're face checking into things. That's the big punishment. 3 hard hitting news, but also you're not going to die. So if you get hard hitting news and you're able to like trash or figure out what the psychographics are, you're entirely safe besides market forces. So that's going to change the game a fair bit. Also, we saw 1 Adori so far, but Tour Guide is pretty weak to Adori. It's a meta call. This is Yasen Grin. I think this is a typo. I think there's an R in Yasen Gin's name. I think it's Yasen Grin. Freedom. So far, let's see what's going on. They have access to Clot and Simulchip. That's kind of spicy, but not too much fast advance outside of the Asas, which is pretty big. 3 Yusufs, Kiko, SMC, Consume. We saw this list before. This is very close to the World's winning list, modified a slight bit. The World's list with Consume and self-modifying code, but now we have, what else is in it? We're not on Nobkari, we're on Keiko, if I'm not mistaken. Where's the console? I don't have time to find the console. Yeah, Keiko. So it's a slightly different econ package, but the base idea is there. It's a really fun deck to watch as well. Yo, Nuts, how's it going? Lillian rooting for fellow Italian over here? Heck yeah. This is the ASA list, and this is the reconstruction contract list that we talked about before. With reconstruction contract and dedication ceremony, you can do some really nutty stuff with fast advance. Specifically, if you over advance Vitruvius, you can basically pull that combo back at speed. We saw this do pretty well. Otherwise, it's pretty similar, but it's more fast advancey, less Lakshmi Smart Fabrics reliable than some of the other ASA lists. It's definitely a really cool list, and I'm a big fan of this. We're actually running this sort of shell back in custom biotics when we had 22 influence and running more combo pieces. But ASA is definitely a better identity. Okay, I hope we didn't scope someone. This is Cody. Cody out from San Francisco. Apocalypse, a single in 419. Again, so cool when people see that you're on a 1 of Apocalypse. What do they do about it? Hijacked Router, a nice tech card involving an archives run to make them lose 3 credits, or you make the cost of servers go up by 1. That does matter against CTMs. That will matter against RPs. That will matter against ASAs. That's super interesting. I think this might be our only 419. We're on 2 embezzles, 2 falsified diversion. Nothing too fascinating there. 3 Muertos. Oh yeah, Cody. Yeah, Cody Muertos. We saw some really cool Muertos plays. It's actually a pretty cool card. It forces a D-res of a res card on installed. It is it's done work. We've seen it against some like big ice in the outfit, but yeah, Cody's definitely putting more pressure on than you might expect with Muertos gang membered, hijack router, again diversion embezzle. Really cool. Also 3 Amakua standard for 419 because of the value, but on multi-axis it's super low. It's only 2 turning wheel, no Maker's Eye, no Stargate, and we have a single Amina Begulter and a Mockler, so not even influence for Paperclip. Again, 1 of Apocalypse, no way to tutor it. We'll see if that fires, but good stuff. ASA, it is the list that is on the front of Netrunner DB. It's very good at €1 Africa Continentals. Kenny, I'm excited to see this one. Cody says, couldn't help myself. So we saw a fair bit of Shaper Apocalypse. I think no, not all, but most of the Shaper we saw, half of the Shaper we saw was on Apocalypse. So this is Simon's Apocalypse Shaper. It's a Haley. Let's see what the installs are. And programs, that matters a lot. We've seen Angolo as basically, I only need 1 breaker. It's a bit expensive. Gauss and Nanotech. Not even running what we saw in kit, like, what's it called? Euler looks really well with Apocalypse. If you install it that turn, you can make a lot of free runs that are cheaper, at least. 2 Harbinger, Hyperdriver, Misdirection, SMC, Stargate. So this, like, the fact is that now Aesop's is unrestricted. It's really easy for you to recover from Apocalypse with value. You can trash all your face down cards, and they're actually running like a pretty fair list where you could probably do mid-range Shaper efficiency without having to Apocalypse, but obviously you can and will Apocalypse. And then if your cards are locked down on the table, you just play pawn shop, get them to the bin, and you have triple simul chip. This is a really fascinating list because it's a mixture between straight Apocalypse and like pro-co Shaper. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out. We've seen things like Into the Ashes, which is pretty cool with Shaper Apocalypse lists. But again, it seems like Simon Moon has put some of the slots more into building a Shaper rig that can set up and play than like straight up Apocalypse and Apocalypse only. Wow, okay, I wouldn't expect this either. This is an ASA list. False lead is very strong. We're talking about boom, econ warfare, hard-hitting news. So there's punishment, and that's going to be there's not too much that interacts with that, besides the fact that hard-hitting news is pretty mean if you're trying to clear all the tags with MC austerity policy. I think this is the first misdirection we've seen in the top 16 so far, which is a really big deal for hard-hitting news as long as you can get up that credit differential. Oh, we don't have a lot of time. We got to go fast. This is fascinating, but the idea is that they have that efficiency going sideways and you keeping up with their board state, and if you ever are behind on credits, you will be thrown the book at. And with 2 archive memories and maybe even, we don't even have a Vitruvius, so the recursion is just the archive memories. That can be pretty mean for sure. Stoppable force. Hoshiko, so far just good stuff, straight good stuff. Caddy Jones actually is pretty good against the game net meta. Nothing really to say here besides Adori and MK Ultra, but just straight up good stuff. Cool. CTM, same list that we saw before. Oh, this is getting so easy. Kisra, oh, we saw Kisra play really well on that good stuff freedom from Eric that we saw around Eric from this. It's the same test group if I'm not mistaken. This list has a Caddy Jones, which again, if you're expecting slow game net, is going to pay off in dividends if you can get that early for sure. You don't have that slow drip of the Rizekis if I'm not mistaken, but it's cool. It's reg freedom with not a lot of virus support, but a lot of virus pressure. This is the same Titan list we saw on the other New York player. Redino 987. I'm not familiar with this player. The outfit list is looks like the exact same that was played by Ohm or Toktugut in the last tournament, if I'm not mistaken, card for card. Oh, actually, maybe slightly different. I don't think that list ran DRM, but it's the basic idea is the same. Engram Flush, reversed accounts, archive memories, access to many win conditions, punitive. Only 2 of in this deck. I guess they consult for one of them, and hard-hitting news is only a 2 of as well. So maybe it's a bit leaner, but it's interesting choices there. Good luck using misdirection on 1 click. Yeah, right. Leela. Good stuff, Leela. 2 embezzles, 3 diversion. We've seen that. 2 inside job, 3 boomerang. Only 2 boomerang this time. Onacom means no Ngolo. We've seen Miss Bones actually doing pretty good work in the meta, but no pull up. Hunted Grounds, Turning Wheel, Taproom Tycoon. Even a paper clip on top of that, so that's just having another breaker so they don't get locked. Double Amina, double Bogalter. Cool stuff. The Kid. Yo, this is Beckett. If you ever watched the Kid play at like Worlds 2018, it's worth knowing that the Kid is probably one of the youngest Netrunner players, competitive Netrunner players. Really fun to watch. They play very aggressive and very quick, especially in person. They've been having a really good run yesterday. They are running a Hoshiko with triple falsified. That's a really cool card when it's expensive to get in the remote. This is the only mining accident we've seen so far. A lot of people have stopped playing 419 mining accident, either saying that the money is too hard to get that credit differential, that pressure up, but it's pretty good against assets if it does land, and we've seen some assets so far. I don't know whether the RP decks made it through. Liberated account, pad tab, turning wheel, not much else to say there. This is the Asa list from Euros. It's the deck list of the week. Yeah. Oh, but I think there's a more Fairchilds in it than normal. I think that's the one change. Maybe, well, obviously that card's must have come somewhere. Elder, Leela. It's the Anacom Leela. It's good. Replicating Perfection. So this is fascinating, and ooh, this one's actually a bit tricky to talk about, but it's some sort of prison economy deck where they're playing RP as an asset spam deck, and they're running interesting things like Prana Condenser, which converts net damage to credits and to a burst kill. We've seen some of those burst kills show up on the stream so far. They're also running bioethics and an austerity policy. They're not running specifically political dealing, so they're not fast advancing. They're also on Technoco. Their ice doesn't end the run. None of their ice ends the run, but it's all very spiky, which is super, super cool. Oh, there's an Ampassan in here. Yeah, you're right. That is pretty cool. But yeah, this list is wild to watch. It doesn't really have a way to claw back on the board the same way Asa does in some extents, but more like CTM does. It doesn't have punishment besides the ice. So if a runner can get their economy up and just trash like 2 things a turn, Val, bad publicity, anything like that, this is going to struggle for sure. And last, we have Jose San playing from Spain. The time zone does not favor this player whatsoever. They were playing at 3:34 in the morning yesterday in the last round. It is a Geist deck. It seems slightly different. Oh, it's wildly different from the Geist decks we saw at Euros. Oh, I only have 30 seconds. Let's go. Because it's actually running the break and enter suite. This is wild. It was running Cyber Trooper Talut, which worked well in the break and enter suite. Prognostic Q Loop is really good with the break and enter suite. This is fascinating. Want to see more. And Mirror Morph, the only Mirror Morph that made it in is on 2222. Cool agenda suite. MC Austerity Policy works really well. And I thought that this would be a punitive list, but it's not. It's just Jinja, Border Control. Is there a Mason Bellamy? Surveyor? Is there a Mason Bellamy? What is this list? Cool. Ah, it's just like kind of legitimate Glacier. Neato. Neato. Charles says, where can we watch the tournament when it's actual live? So we're going to go raid him right now. Unfortunately, on YouTube, I don't have a good way to make that happen because we can't raid on there. But it's at Twitch TV/Project Nisei. So we're about to raid in a second. It looks like their stream is probably up, so we're gonna go raid them on the Twitch side. If you're on YouTube, you just need to go over there. Go to twitch.tv/Project Nisei, twitch.tv/Project Nisei, and we'll be there. We'll be there all day. Oh, they have nicer ways to look at the lists, but we're gonna be there. We're gonna do a raid on Twitch chat. On YouTube, we're signing off. We have a full day of Netrunner. Hope that you can join into that Twitch chat over there. They're only streaming on Twitch. It's also important to know that if you want to watch it in Italian, in Spanish, in German, there are restreams in different languages. There were yesterday. I can't confirm there were today, but there's a lot of accessibility options if you want to get on there. We're gonna go for a raid. So YouTube, I'm gonna shut the stream down in a second. I hope to see you there, but we're gonna go run into Project Nisei, go give them some Metropole grade love, and we'll be there in the comms in just a second. Oh, we're probably a bit too late. They've already started. Oh, bye.